Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How are you? If you see me like weird, is because we have been with my friends. We have been closing the day doing the last alignment for the preparation for tomorrow, and because tomorrow we start our trip. So we ended just 2 minutes ago. So that's why I'm like this. Let's begin with our topic for today. To say and to shut up. Um, so sorry, I think that I am incarnating the concept of the month, which is Gemini, and you have seen the ones that have been following me all this time, all this month. You have seen that I was kind of trying to embody within me the concept of the month. So you have seen me very intense in Scorpio, you have seen me aggressive in Aries, and now you see me very dispersed everywhere, like Gemini. This is the month of Gemini, so this is how it's going to be. This is how it's going to be. So let's go to the topic for today, which is very intense for most of the people, for all of us, which is to say or to shut up. So let's talk about the concept of say and shut it up from 2 points of view. One from the inside, the other one from the outside. The inner concept will be, of course, the one that takes us to the outer concept of these two things. Sometimes when I speak here, when I connect every day, I start to think myself, if all that I explain here really worth it or not. I have two kind of thoughts sometimes when I connect here, which is two sides. From one side is when I wonder, is this really worth it? It really works what I explain here? And in the other hand, I used to ask myself, what would happen if the next year I change entirely my way of thinking? What would happen if I just change my point of view next year, and for me, everything that I explain this year every day doesn't have any sense for me anymore? The question that I made to myself is, would it have the same value that I give it to now, or it might be nothing, like not worth it at all? Another thing that comes to me when I start um, to read the comments of what I explain every day is other two words, other two questions that are it really worth to explain all this, knowing that it doesn't matter how many times you explain something, some people won't get it, Some people will complain about what I say, even if I try to say it in all the different ways as possible. And in the other hand, the other question is, maybe I am not explaining myself properly into what I'm trying to say. Maybe I am doing it wrong. So when I do these questions, I also realize that a lot of people in history has done the same questions. Like many people that were teachers or masters or people that were just doing things, they also wonder themselves, it really worth it to explain all this that I know? But a few people, most of the people used to ask this question according to the first point of view, which is, does it worth to explain this because people is not getting it? So they rather shut up and not to say anything, not to share what they know, because they think it's a waste of time. And a few does the other question, which is, maybe I am not explaining myself well. Sometimes I try to put myself on the shoes of the people that decided to shut up, of the people that were questioning themselves. It really worth it to say all this to the people if the people sometimes they don't get it? If the people usually don't manifest the will to at least comprehend a bit of what one is saying? And I understand some of those people that they decided to shut up, not to share, because they didn't want to lose energy or to be judged by others. Most of the people that along history that knew something, they shut up, was because they were afraid of share what they knew, of share what they were, because they were afraid of not being comprehended and accepted. And there were another people in history that they were not afraid of being accepted or not, but they said, we don't want to waste energy. We don't want to waste anything of our energy in order for someone to understand. So they kind of took the concept or the idea that if someone really wants to know something, they will look for it. So instead of myself giving that with my energy to everybody, and that everybody not willing to listen or to understand, instead of doing that, they would just shut the doors, shut up, and wait for those people to make the question. This takes us to the thought that how many times we shut up because we are scared to not be accepted, we are afraid of being judged, or because we don't want to waste any drop of saliva, wasting energy in others. Can you really pay attention to these three ways in which you will shut up? The action of being shut up is basically an action that we take when we feel afraid of being refused, when we don't want to be part, when we want to be part of something and we don't want to be rejected from that something. Along our human history, we have been shutting up for survival. During our long history of humanity, we have been trying to survive. So that's why we still can hear this kind of questions or sentences that says to us, don't say this, shut up, don't say these kind of things in public, be responsible of what you are saying, otherwise bad things can happen to you. I've heard some people saying that you should not say your projects or your ideas because otherwise some other people can think bad of it and then it won't happen. And we shut up. And remember, the word is something that manifests. How can I manifest something if I don't say it? If I don't share it? How can I manifest my emotions and my ideas if I don't set vibration on that? And along history, another thing happened eventually, which was that a lot of people was really scared of saying what they think, what they feel, because there was not only just judgment, you can also be killed. You could also be killed because of that. So I wonder how many of you have shut up what you thought and what you feel because you were afraid of those judgments. How many people cannot say who they love? How many people cannot say what they think about? And of course, sometimes we start to say what do I do if my family doesn't accept me for what I say, for what I love? What would happen if the society I live in doesn't accept me for who I am, for what I want to say? We are still so mammal that we think that we have to be accepted by the clan, by the group, in order to survive. What would we do if they don't accept us? Maybe we die, like in the old times. The clan is not something that is there to protect us. The clan is something that shares with us the genetics, is the biology that helps us to be what we are, so we can have the tools in order to learn. But it's not the one that has to accept us. It's the one that gives us what we need in order for us to accept us. Humanity is huge. The family of humanity is very wide. Not only our clan. But even though humans, we usually say or not say what the clan is expecting for us to say or for us to shut up. And this is the reason why a lot of people that explained and taught decided to shut up. Because mainly, as mammals, we are afraid of what we can say because the clan won't accept us. So the people that used to teach, they used to shut up because they said, we don't want to lose energy in people that wants to listen, but they don't want to accept the change of what they are hearing. This is why they became hermetic. They close the teachings. So only those who did the question and had the will to look for the answers could find the teachers. That's why they closed it. Hermetic. So the wise people used to shut up so they wouldn't lose energy in people that is afraid of everything. So the question here would be, so if they knew that people were afraid, why they didn't shut up? And they taught people how not to be afraid. Why they didn't do that? This thought can take us to the idea that maybe those people that knew had so much wisdom that they said, maybe if we shut up and we don't say what we know, and they keep with fear, not knowing, so it's easier for us to control them. So the question is really, really key. Of course, is like, yes, for sure, someone is trying to control us with information. But the problem is when we understand that now we have internet. One word, internet. When we start to find internet since the 90s, most of the world started to have internet, and in 2010, most of the humanity were able to access to internet. There's a lot of things there, a lot of information, many things. But even though today, most of the things that we look for are kittens in YouTube. Didn't happen that to you, that you find yourself looking for kitten videos in YouTube? So now the thing would be, here the question would be, the reason why we don't reach the information is because there is a dark force in the universe trying to forbid us to access the main information of the real self, and we don't know how to do it because there's a hidden power that is trying to control our minds. And it's because of that, or it's just because we don't know how to write in Google, how can I find my inner self? Is maybe something from the universe that is forbidden me to type that? is maybe because of that. So I don't know if you have noticed that, but sometimes when you start to look for something, you kind of find it. Didn't happen to you? It's amazing that when you ask the question and you say, oh, I'm going to look for it, you suddenly find it somehow. So the problem here is that most of the people don't do the question. And now I will go deeper into this, which kind of will break the idea. One of the bases of pedagogy, the art of learning and teaching, is that no one can really learn something and know something until that person makes the question. If a person doesn't do the question by itself, there is no process of learning. So we cannot force humanity to make a question, because you can bring someone 30 years to school for that person to learn everything, but if that person doesn't make any question, those 30 years won't worth anything, because it's the question that opens the answer. It's the only way someone can learn really something. That's why we cannot push humanity to make a question. We just can give the environment for them to kind of wonder how to ask a question. But that's it. This is why the masters in ancient times, they used the parable to teach something. Parables are not specific teachings. They are stories that kind of gives you much more than an answer, it gives you questions. It enables the opportunity for the listener to wonder, like, is it like this? What he wanted to say with that. So the parables are something that kind of open the opportunity to make questions. So I've seen that a lot of people are questioning me things like basic things that you want to know what I think or what I believe about this, but many of those questions are really easy to find in Google, in internet, and it's easy to see, to contrast that with 2 or 3 different websites, because we are used to listen the answer from someone else. And sometimes we rather feel ignorant about something before we can look for an answer. And sometimes, because we are afraid of the judgment, afraid of not knowing enough, we rather to shut up and not to say anything. We have to pay attention today that internet is one of the most wonderful tools that we have to learn, to make questions. Even if there's not the entire data and information in the internet, it for sure will open a door for you to find it somewhere else. It's really important for us to use it properly, to know that is a door to all the knowledge. And we have it there in our hands. We just have to know how to use it, how to make the question. And we have to pay attention about this in the internet. you have everything on the internet. It's like going to a forest. When you go to a forest and you're looking for something to eat, you will find some fruits that maybe are really good for you. And also in the same forest, you will have some mushrooms that maybe are poison. But when you know that this fungi is poison, you won't eat it. But it doesn't mean that it's not good for others. Because for some other beings, these poisonous mushrooms are their food. So it's okay. But this fact of going outside to look for answers cannot be done without the looking within. So before we start with the outside, is to try to discern what things are the ones that we already have within, and what things we are sharing outside. Meaning, what are we saying? What are we shutting up? All the things that we shut up are like kind of those things that we deny in the information of the being. The first networks that we have to work in order to open the ones from the outside are to work with the ones inside. And in order to do that, we have to remember that verb is creation. And this takes us to the other question. Am I doing it right? Am I saying it properly? What am I sharing in that internet? What things am I saying? What things am I shutting up? Am I giving to the others much more with my silence or with my words? How many things do I shut up? Whether it is because I am afraid of saying them, or because I think that doesn't worth it to waste energy on that. What are the things that I say even if I shouldn't say them? What are the things that I express, that I share? It's important to make this kind of philosophical questions about what are the things that we say, what are the things that we don't say, and we shut up. And now I invite you also to make it different, to change our point of view of the people that decided to shut up instead of sharing the information. Instead of blaming them because they didn't share it with us, I would invite you to make the opposite thinking of it and wonder why, even though we stop asking the questions. Let's go to alignment. The vibration for today is Xe. The statement for today is, I am the spiral of sounds. It can also be said, I am the spiral of truths. And I will try today to not to have much words, so follow the silence.